Sorry about that. This is a regularly scheduled public session. The Woodbridge Board of Education is also in compliance with Open Public Meeting Act, Chapter 231, Public Laws of 1975, also known as the Sunshine Law. This meeting has been approved by resolution adopted at the reorganization meeting held on January 6, 2026. Notification has been posted on the Woodbridge Board of Education's district website. Meetings of the board are open to the public, and all members of the community should feel free to participate. The board announces that under its long-standing policy, it will not discuss in public any comments made by members of the public concerning individual staff members. Before coming to the board, the chain of command should be followed. There are two portions of the meeting reserved for comments made from the public, the first at the beginning of the meeting for agenda items only, and the second at the end of the meeting for other items. Issues raised by the public may or may not be responded to by the board, but all comments will be considered. The board requests that all members of the public be mindful of the rights of other individuals when speaking due to confidentiality and legal rights afforded by the state of New Jersey. Members of the public are asked not to speak negatively or in a derogatory manner about any employee of the board or any student. And please be advised that all or a portion of this meeting is being live streamed in real time and will be recorded for rebroadcasting at a future date. Roll call.
Mr. Fallon. Here. Mr. Garvin. Here. Mrs. Milano.
Here.
Mr. Vaccaro is absent. Mr. Biamonte.
Here.
Or Mr. Nieves.
Present. We do not have anything for presentations, recognitions, and awards tonight, so we will go straight to our board administrator's report. Ms. Elisa.
Good evening, everyone. With the school year starting in just over 2 weeks, the business office has been hard at work preparing purchase orders, getting orders out the door, and making sure that our teachers and our students have the materials and supplies that they need for another successful school year. With less than 2 months into the 26-27 fiscal year, we've already processed over 640 purchase orders. I'd like to highlight a few of the agenda items this evening. Under Finance 1, I would first like to point out an error that will be corrected in the minutes. The bills list being presented tonight covers a period from July 21st through August 24th. Finance 2, this is the approval of our June financial reports. I'm happy to report that our financials for the 25-26 school year are being presented tonight ahead of the required 60-day time frame. Our July financials are also nearly complete, but we would like to do some additional proofing and anticipate presenting the July and August financials together at our September meeting. Finance 3, this is the usual approval of a certification of a balanced budget. Finance 4, this is the approval of our finalized June budget transfers for the 25-26 school year. Finance 5, and also skipping over to Finance 9, these are approvals of various student fundraisers. Finance 6, this is the approval of our application and acceptance of IDEA funds for the 26-27 school year. I'm happy to report that our final allocation is $328,912 for basic allocation and $13,577 for preschool, which is almost 38% higher than what we budgeted and almost 7% higher than our prior year allocation. Finance 7, this is the approval to accept our final extraordinary aid allocation for the 25-26 school year. The final amount is $657,492, which is approximately 3.5% higher than what we budgeted. This leads into Finance 8. As a result of our final X-aid allocation, we received $22,651 more in extraordinary aid than was originally budgeted. Since we have satisfied our eligible special education expenditures, primarily tuition-related expenses, with the amount originally budgeted, we are permitted to appropriate that excess amount into the 26-27 school year. That is what we are doing through this resolution in the amount of $22,651, which will be carried over into the 26-27 budget. Finance 10, this is an approval of a multi-year payment schedule for Sabas-related products. This multi-year arrangement is expected to save the district a considerable amount over the duration of the agreement compared with making the typical single-year purchase. Finance 11, this is an approval of a reimbursement agreement with a potential new employee. Earlier in personnel, which Mr. Nieves will mention, it was mentioned that there will be hiring 2 new CDL drivers. This agreement will help us expand that to 3 drivers, which will further help us reduce student transportation costs by bringing additional transportation routes in-house rather than relying on third-party transportation, which can be substantially more expensive in many instances. I would also like to mention Board Operations 10. This resolution authorizes the purchase of electricity through a third-party supplier using a reverse auction process. It allows the board to participate in an open market auction for the lowest price per kilowatt hour. The results of the auction are non-binding unless the board determines that the resulting price is favorable and provides a sufficient savings. At that point, the resolution would allow us to execute an agreement with the selected electricity supplier. Looking ahead to the new school year, for our students, enjoy these last few days of summer, and for our parents, the last day of school is just around the corner. You will receive information about our breakfast and lunch program. This year's prices are as follows. Doyle and Intermediate Schools, $4.50 for lunch and $3 for breakfast. High School, $4.75 for lunch and $3 for breakfast. Breakfast, as it did last year, will continue to be served in all three schools. For families participating in the free or reduced price meal program, applications must be renewed each year. Once you have access to the 2627 real-time parent portal, that you will click menu, then meal applications to apply. Paper applications will also be available through our website, but the parent portal is the fastest way to submit an application and get your child's account set up. A letter with additional information regarding the free and reduced price meal program will be sent to all parents in the coming days. I believe that will come from Mr. Alville. Regarding funding your child's lunch account, to keep lunch accounts in good standing, you can add funds online through Pay Schools Central. Simply visit our district homepage, scroll down, and click on the Pay Schools banner located prominently on the page. The district will continue to send reminders to families when student meal accounts have a negative balance, so please help us keep those accounts current. We're looking forward to a wonderful 26-27 school year, and that is my report. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Albro, our superintendent report.
Good evening. Being as this is our last summer meeting, that can only mean one thing: we are heading back to school. Thank you to our building and ground staff, our IT staff, our administrative assistant staff, and my administrators for their hard work throughout the summer getting ready for the 26-27 school year. I also want to thank the Borough of Woodridge for lending us some of their summer workers to assist in the breakdown, cleaning, and restoration of our classrooms throughout the district. The students will be returning to school and entering classrooms that have been fully cleaned and shined. Whereas the Doyle School underwent a great deal of transformation over the past 2 years, this year that type of activity has been kept to a minimum. In addition to the customary cleaning at the intermediate and high school, there has been a great deal of renovation work completed in both buildings this summer. At the intermediate school, a music room has been built into one half of the existing cafeteria, which will provide for more space instructionally and a more sequestered environment where instruments and voices can be heard as loudly or as softly as necessary. The former music room has been converted to a STEAM lab type classroom, and we're looking forward to making full use of that instructional space. The former library world language room has now been renovated to create 2 smaller classrooms for some of our special education programs. Gymnasium, following the Assumption Church event yesterday, will be thoroughly cleaned and work will take place on the finish of the floor. The gymnasium has also received some painting of walls, some work on the ceiling. At the high school, we've converted a former office space into an instructional space for some of our small group programs. The high school cafeteria has been freshly painted with new ceiling tiles, and although you cannot see it while seated in the cafeteria, the entire walk-in freezer area has been completely renovated with all brand-new materials. The district will be hosting a new staff orientation on Monday, August 31st, beginning at 9 a.m. in the High School Media Center. This program gives our new staff a glimpse into the operations of our district and a review of mandated board policies and regulations. At the conclusion of the orientation program, the staff are free to visit their new classroom should they so desire. The district will open the school year for teachers and staff only on Tuesday, September 1 and Wednesday, September 2nd. Our staff will be involved in various professional development activities in addition to prepping their classrooms to receive their new students. Thursday, September 3rd will be our first official day of school with students working with a 1-session day schedule, and our staff will be working on various projects in the afternoon. The district is then closed Friday through Monday of next week for Labor Day and will reopen on Tuesday, September 8th, 2026. This will also be a 1-session day for students, and our staff will complete the preparations for the new school year. Beginning on Wednesday, September 9th, all of our schools will operate on the standard full-day schedule with lunch being served. The current school year calendar was approved in our February board meeting with a student start date of Tuesday, September 8th. In our March board meeting, I made the recommendation to change the start date to Thursday, September 3rd in order to allow the calendar to have 3 emergency days as opposed to the originally planned total of 2. I realize that some late summer vacation plans were already made, and some families will not be able to attend school on September 3rd. I apologize for that inconvenience. I will work with my administration to make sure September 8th is as close to a first day as possible. On the agenda this evening in Board Operations number 5, I am seeking the approval of the High School Graduation Pathways Report for the class of 2026. This report is a state requirement, and I wish to also report it out this evening. The class of 2026 had a total of 76 students graduate in June. 54 of these students met the graduation requirements by passing the state assessment. 22 of these students met the graduation requirement by passing a substitute competency test. There were no students who needed to graduate via a portfolio appeal. 1 student met the graduation requirements as specified in their IEP. There were no students denied graduation solely for the failure of meeting any state graduation requirement. The state assessment that the class of 26 needed to pass was the New Jersey Graduation Proficiency Assessment that they took during their junior year. We recently received the first wave of reports concerning the results of our current class of 27 when they took the NJGPA this past spring. Those reports will be mailed home shortly, and I will report out to the community the results of these assessments most likely at our next board meeting. A rather significant board policy and regulation will be up for adoption this evening. This policy is a result of a new law that was passed by the state government last year. The document is entitled Student Use of Internet-Enabled Devices, and essentially bans the use of cell phones, Apple Watches, special eyeglasses, etc., during the school day from bell to bell. That means that the phone must be shut down and stored away before entering their first class of the day and cannot be used until the dismissal bell at the end of the day. This is in effect for all 3 schools in our district. Keep in mind that in the past, cell phones or similar devices were never permitted to be used in the classroom, but were not prohibited at lunchtime and passing time. There will certainly be an adjustment for our students, especially in the high school, but the intent of the law and the policy is a most positive intent to lessen the phone screen time, hopefully allow for more face-to-face personal interaction. This policy includes any personal device. The only device to be carried into school should be, besides the cell phone, which will be stored away, should be the school-issued Chromebook. Students are not permitted to bring their personal Chromebook, iPad, Apple computer, etc. into school. I imagine that the impact of this policy will be closely observed and measured, and either it will continue to be in effect or perhaps some changes will be made in the future. Nevertheless, it is a law and not just a Woodridge thing, and I'm confident that our students will be able to adhere to these new regulations. Information will be sent out by each school building and by my office and probably be mentioned in some shape or form at each building's back-to-school night program about this new policy. I want to remind everyone that our fall high school athletic programs and recreation programs have started practicing, and our high school football team will be playing their first game of the season this Thursday evening at 6 p.m. at home. Our opponent will be Roselle Park High School. We wish the Blue Devils best of luck. All of our programs will begin their regular season shortly after that initial football game. Good luck and be safe is the message I have for our fall student athletes. Before I close with my last paragraph, I want to mention in our board agenda this evening, personnel. The board is accepting the resignation of Mr. Lisa as our business administrator. Mr. Lisa has done tremendous services for me as the superintendent for his entire time in the district. I'm sure he's going to address the audience in a later time, but he has already begun to help me with the transition, and he has assured me that everything will be in place for his successor. The board has already advertised for the position and will begin interviews shortly. The beginning of the school year represents a significant change in traffic patterns, parking patterns, and pedestrian patterns. I remind everyone to be most careful dropping off and picking up their children daily. Be mindful of borough ordinances, drop-off zones, fire hydrants. Please do not block any private residence driveway, and do not enter the staff parking lots at each school building. Together, we can make the beginning of the school year and every day that follows as safe as possible for the beginning and end of each school day. Mr. Nieves, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Albro. Trustees, comments, questions, or concerns? All right. Approval of minutes. Upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education approved minutes of the following meeting. Public session meeting, July 13th, 2026. Mr. Fallon, Mr. Biamonte, discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Fallon,
Yes.
Mr. Garvin,
Yes.
Mrs. Milano,
Yes.
Mr. Biamonte.
Yes.
Mr. Nieves.
Abstain. All right. Before we open it up to hearing of citizens. All right. I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to open it straight up to comments and feedback on the resolutions before I read through all of them for approval. So are there any comments? Please come to the podium. I was only kidding with a little different. I want to see.
All right. Melissa Cruz, 335 Columbia Boulevard. I'll start with Mr. Albro. I'll wait.
Thank you.
Your report reported that 76 students graduated, 54 met, with the 22 needing additional to pass. Is that number very different from years in past? And what are we doing to correct that? That seems to be a pretty big number, 22.
I would have to find out percentage-wise, because our classes in the last 3 years have been different in terms of quantity. In many cases, they may have failed either math or language arts, not failing both, and then they take the AccuPlacer, which is a state-approved replacement. But as we review the data, and again, this is a new test this year, I'll be able to give the board and the public more information.
And an action plan, I guess, to do better than
Absolutely.
22. Okay. I'll just follow one more thing. It's on policy about the cell phone bell-to-bell, and also students bringing their own Chromebooks into school. So how does administration, like each principal is going to have a rules, and how are we going to put that out? Like what's offense 1, offense 2? Are the kids going to come in and have to put in a locker? Are they keeping it completely in their book bag? How are we handling that?
It will be going out from the schools, but I can give a preview. Obviously, when the bill was made and the policy was put together, they gave the board and myself a variety of ways to store that device. Right now, it is the district's plan to allow the students to store their devices away in their locker or in their book bag, and to follow the procedure of not having them come out during the day. If they violate the policy, there's 5 tiers of consequences, which will involve at some point surrendering your phone once you're caught, and in the later consequences, the moment you come into school, you're handing in your phone. So the board had considered, and the district had considered, the use of the pouches devices, the uses of classroom storage, use of online apps to make the phones not work. Right now, we're going to trust our students to do the right thing. We've had very few problems in the past in the classroom. The biggest adjustment's going to be in the hallways and passing time and in the lunchroom.
Okay. I also just want to follow up. In terms of computers, the students aren't allowed to bring their own computer. So, for example, my daughter's going to the 6th grade. Her Chromebook is not in great shape in terms of visually the screen. It's not the best quality. So do we have a plan for students getting new, updated Chromebooks? Or are we going to relook at that for parents to have the option to purchase one, a better quality screen? Not so much what it can do, it's more about the screen in her eyes, things like that.
I will follow up with my technology group. I'm sure this summer we reviewed everything, and we'll double check again. If there's something that needs to be changed, we'll probably go out and buy it first before having someone bring their own device in.
Okay, and then just one other thing is, you could talk to the tech people about this as well. Towards the end of last year, they stopped allowing kids to use Gmail, like a Gmail account. They're not allowed to put their parents on an email. So in other school districts, they find it important for parents to be copied on any email that goes to a teacher, just keeping everybody in loop. So they're no longer able to do that, because if somebody has anything other than a Woodridge account, it blocks them. So I just think it's something that maybe should be looked at. Maybe just parents' emails could be allowed unblocked, not other Gmail accounts. I don't know if there's a way to do that or not, but it's just something I thought I'd bring to your attention.
I had discussed that with the IT team earlier this summer, and something that may be involved is we may have to have the parents sign off on the ability to do that if they were to do so, because obviously now those emails to their students are discoverable by the district, and everyone has to know that, if you want to say something less than flattering about the superintendent in an email, that someone could possibly see it. But I will follow through with my IT team and my administration about that particular issue.
Okay, thank you. And so I have a question about it's 14 curriculum. What were the revisions that were made to the curriculum? It's page 9, if that helps. It's a long agenda tonight, 38 pages. It's a lot.
I'm sorry, did you say you say 14?
Yeah.
Page 9, 14.
Woodbridge only.
For the curriculum, I know that normally it's reviewed, but there was revisions made due to the Department of Education. So I
The major overhaul was science. Science curriculum had to be renewed for this year, for September.
So none of it was due to corrections that we had to make.
From CUSAC, no. CUSAC approved our final curriculum.
Okay. And is there a place that we can find that? 'Cause when I look on the district website, it says that we have to contact Ms. Dudsek in order to get.
It will be up at the start of school.
The start of school. Okay, great. My next question is in regards to curriculum instruction 20, the approval for the special education workshop training. I was just wondering, what is our total district for professional development? Because this is costing $5,500. And I'm not sure if it's just for paraprofessionals and ABA staff, but that seems to be high.
It's planned to be for special ed staff in general, plus paras, and it's more than one meeting. I believe it's 3 meetings throughout the school year.
And then my last question is on personnel number 3. I see that we're hiring a pre-K social worker. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? I feel like pre-K, what do we need a preschool social worker for?
It's a requirement of using the preschool fund. I have to have a social worker.
All right, thank you.
Ted? Close the hearing, citizens. For those in the audience, Mr. Lisa? Anything submitted? Nothing online. All right, I will close the hearing of citizens. Trustees, looking for your support, which includes Moonaki, curriculum instruction. I'll just read these out since I didn't prior. Approval of a field trip request, curriculum instruction 4 approval, annual approval of the Woodbridge District curriculum for the 26-27 school year, annual readoption of staff evaluation templates for 26-27, which is number 5. Number 8, approval of the out-of-district placements. Number 9, approval of the student teachers classroom observation field experience internship. Number 11, approval of the out-of-district placement. Number 15, approval of the proposal from Inspired Instruction for the provision of professional development in the 26-27 school year. Number 16, approval of proposal from the Douglas Development Disability Center, Rutgers, for the provision of professional development in the 26-27 school year. Approval of number 17, approval of proposal for Vernier Science Education for the provision of professional development for the 26-27 school year. Number 18, approval of proposal from Savas Learning Company for the provision of professional development in the 26-27 school year. Number 19, approval of ordering CST self-contained curriculum for grades 7 through 12 for the 26-27 school year. And lastly, for curriculum instruction, which includes Moonaki, is number 20, approval of the special education workshop training. On to personnel. We have approval, number 1, approval of the higher degree status movement for personnel on salary guide 26-27. Number 2, which is approval of personnel appointment 26-27 district substitutes. Number 3, which is approval of personnel appointment. Number 4, which is approval of tuition reimbursement payments for the 26 spring semester WREA. Number 5, which is the appointment of student transportation driver. Number 6, which is approval of the coaching appointment. Number 8, which is approval of the 6-period stipend for school year 26-27. Number 9, which is approval of the school safety, climate, and culture team. Number 10, approval of school improvement committees. Number 11, approval of the I&RS team appointments. Number 12, approval of the school threat assessment team appointments. Number 13, approval of janitorial assessment team appointments. Number 22, approval of the appointment of care personnel 26-27. Number 23, approval of the CST summer hours 2026. Number 24 is approval of the personnel resignation. Number 25 is the approval of the athletic operations manager fall season. On to policies and regulations. Number 1, approval of policies. Number 2 is approval of regulations. On to buildings and grounds. We only have 1, approval of the facilities request. On to finance, we have number 1, approval of the bills list. Number 2, approval of the monthly financial reports of the board secretary and treasurer. Number 3, approval of the certification of a balanced budget. Number 4, approval of the budget transfers. Number 5, approval of fundraisers. Number 6, approval to apply for and accept IDEA funds for the 26-27 school year. Number 7, which is approval to accept extraordinary aid funds for the fiscal year of 26. Number 8, which is a resolution to appropriate excess extraordinary aid. Number 10, which is approval of the authorization of the Savas Learning Company LLC purchases. Number 11, which is the approval of the endorsement reimbursement agreement. Our walk-in, which is number 12, is the approval of the authorization to execute a settlement agreement between parents and the Woodbridge Board of Education. Be it resolved by the Woodbridge Board of Education, hereinafter referred to as the board, that terms, stipulations, and conditions as established in the agreement between the board and the parents of students whose name is on file in the superintendent's office and which agreement is located in the student's file are hereby adopted and approved by the board, the superintendent, and board secretary are hereby authorized and directed to execute the agreement and any other documents necessary to effectuate the settlement. On to board operations. Number 1, approval of the NJSLA delayed opening schedule. Number 2, approval to contract with the New Jersey School Boards Association for the purpose of developing a strategic plan for the school district. Number 3, approval of the attendance of the NJSBA Conference 26. Number 4, approval of a 1-year affiliation agreement with CBH Care for purpose of providing mental health clearances for the 26-27 school year. Number 5, approval of the high school graduation pathways report, class of 26. Number 7, approval of 26-27 Woodbridge School District Professional Development Plan. Number 8, which is the approval of the 26-27 Woodbridge School District Mentoring Plan. Number 9, which is the approval of purchase of real-time HIB module. Number 10, which is the approval of authorization of the purchase of the electricity supply services for public use on an online auction website. And that completes everything, which includes Moonaki. Can I get a first? Mr. Fallon, can I get a second? Mrs. Milano, discussion, roll call.
Mr. Fallon,
Yes.
Mr. Garvin,
Yes.
Mrs. Milano,
Yes.
Mr. Biamonte,
Yes.
and Mr. Nieves.
Yes. Rich, I make sure I do Woodbridge now. Trustees looking for your support, which is Woodbridge only. Curriculum instruction. Number 2, approval of evaluation request. Number 3, approval of the field trip request. Number 6, approval of in-district placements. Number 7, approval of out-of-district placements. Number 10, approval to purchase equipment. Number 12, approval of the purchase of instructional equipment, iPads from the Apple Store for Education institution. Number 13, approval of professional development request. Number 14, approval of student teachers classroom observation field experience internship. On to personnel. We have number 7, approval of personnel appointment. Number 14, which is approval of the 26-27 school safety, climate, and culture team appointments. Number 15, which is the approval of the 26-27 school improvement committees. Number 16, which is approval of the 26-27 INRS team appointments. Number 17, which is approval of the 26-27 behavior threat assessment team appointments. Number 18, which is the 26-27 Janus Law team rapid response team appointments. Number 19, which is approval of the 6-period teaching stipend 26-27. Number 20, which is approval of the co-curricular appointments for 26-27 school year. Number 21, which is the approval of a mentor. None for policy and regulation. Buildings and grounds, we just have one, which is number 2, approval of a facilities request. Finance, number 9, we have approval of fund transfers. And lastly, number 6 for board operations, we have approval of the graduate school internship for a staff member. Can I get a first? Mr. Fallon or Mr. Garvin, can I get a second? Mr. Milano, discussion, roll call.
Mr. Fallon,
Yes.
Mr. Garvin,
Yes.
Mrs. Milano,
Yes.
Mr. Biamonte.
Yes.
Mr. Nieves.
Yes, sir. All right, trustees, as always, thank you for your support. Before I open it up to the hearing of citizens, do we have anything for communications, new or unfinished business? No. All right, I will open it up to the hearing of citizens for anything you'd like to speak about. Hearing none, seeing none.
Can't get rid of me that easy. I have a few different questions, so I hope I don't bounce all over the place. My first question is, in terms of Doyle's new playground area, has there been a call button or something put outside for safety for if a child is left outside accidentally or has to run back to go get something and can't get back in?
Ms. Schmidt had given me a heads up that you had mentioned that with her, And my first question was to my staff, my IT staff, whether that could be done. They said, no, that's going to require the vendor that's done all our work, and we're going to work to make that happen. The problem is, like, for example, on the back on Highland Avenue, a similar thing exists. There's a buzzer to come in, but it doesn't open the door. It basically tells the office that someone's waiting at that door. I would have a concern for having that door open from a remote place. I'd rather have it be, you buzzed in, I see you there, let me come down and open the door. So I'm going to have to work with the town to get our vendor to set that one up there.
Even a buzzer, like I'm stuck outside.
Oh, yeah, no, the buzzer, it'll have a buzzer and a camera, and that'll be able to tell us that there's somebody outside, and we'll go and open the door.
So do you have a time frame for that? Because,
I will make the call tomorrow.
okay, thank you. This is for the board. So in terms of communication between board members and administration, what does that look like? For example, Michelle is responsible for curriculum. So do you meet with the administration team like monthly to find out what their needs are, how they're feeling, to get feedback from them? Or is it just solely on Mr. Albro? Or, I mean, any of you can answer for budget, any personnel.
Want me to jump in? So each of us who has a committee sets time up with Tony first. So in my role, you could see, like, I make sure that I'm second on all of them. I have meetings with Tony quite regularly, at least once a week, which is typically Fridays when my paying job allows for
Right.
it. But
Yeah,
there's
I
other
get-
times
I
where, like,
understand that,
no,
right.
I'm just being funny. But when there's other things that come up, I speak to Tony, I will say, quite regularly, whether it be curriculum. A lot for me would be finance, board operations, type activities. I could speak for Chris, where, I know with all of the BAs that we've had, since he's chair on that, Chris has multiple calls a week. Sometimes it's just to check in to say, how are things going? Is everything okay? And I will say that's bi-directional. So if Keith should need support or has a question, he'll reach out. During audit time, Chris is a little bit more active in asking, how are we, whether it be with, Alex, who does most of our audits, from that perspective, all things that are a matter of personnel. Joe is at least, or Mr. Biamonte is at least consulted on, so Tony will do an outreach like, this is going to be on the agenda. So there's conversation before, Friday, 2, 3 o'clock before things go out. I mean, I can go on, but.
No, I'm just curious if even for Mr. Albro and for you guys as well, if you think that, and I know volunteers and I know time is tough. Like I believe me, I understand all that. But if it's something that maybe the principals should come in, like even if it's quarterly, just to have like a round table conversation.
If it should be, and there hasn't been a lot, but sometimes it's a necessity due to an emergency, something that's evolving or changing.
I'm talking about like curriculum or every day, not so much. I know there's like emergency situations that you guys all have to be. I'm talking about the everyday ins and outs of the school building and curriculum and just having.
I would say that most of that flows through Tony. So Michelle's going to have a conversation. Even I know that Michelle reaches out to Tony and meets to him like prior to, all of our meetings and everything. So from a support perspective, we try not to cross that boundary and walking in and having a conversation with the building administrator. And if, there is any time that we deem that that's necessary, it's always with a courtesy call to Tony, but.
Yeah, I'm not even saying for a problem. I just mean like in general, check in, what's going on with the curriculum? Do you feel like you need any needs or things going really well?
That's
like
usually,
that kind
no,
of
so
more of a conversation,
Tony's
not
our
like an
point of.
emergency situation or something where I would never want you guys to walk into the building. I don't think
We're not
that's
allowed
fair
to.
either.
But I would say Tony's our conduit to all
Okay.
of that. And should there be something that
Arises.
either we ask or he feels that could be better represented by bringing in the building administrator, even if it's just a checkpoint, like
Right,
how
that's
are
what,
things
not
going?
for any other reason. That's what I'm talking
I mean,
about.
you know how I am with athletics. So I'll, Tony, how are things going? Is there, anything? And sometimes he'll say, let me call Mark, right? And it's like, how are things going? Things are great,
Okay.
So that's not due to the necessity of an emergency. It's just, I'm here, you need support, we're here for that.
Okay. In terms of, I wasn't able to be here for the July meeting, but I watched the presentation about the strategic planning. So congrats, Mr. Fallon. That's a huge honor. And thanks for going to all those extra meetings and being there for our district. I was just wondering where the board stands on that, if that's something you guys feel we're going to do or not do.
So I wasn't here also. I was on vacation. So I unfortunately, not vacation, whatever it was, I couldn't be here that day. So I did converse with her. I did have the presentation, looked through it. I do think that there's a ton of value. It's helping us hold each other accountable. We are going to go back into closed after this with no action to be taken. I think setting what our future vision is, having some guidance from an expert who's seen things happen in other districts is well worth, implementing. But we haven't had a moment as a board since the last meeting to sit down and
Okay.
talk about it. So I'm in favor of it, even if it's just by using the principles that they have there. I mean, we've had this conversation about where do we want to be in 3 years
I know,
and
but
5
I
years.
feel like we always have the conversation. We don't ever get to the finish line. So it'd
Well-
be nice to maybe somebody kind of help us get there and also I love the idea of having students involved. I think that would be really great for us and also having some of the community. I know
I was
we
gonna
don't
say
always have a lot of
community,
community,
students,
but maybe we
parents.
could get parents out to do it, at least try. And maybe they can give us some direction that,
This
we could
is
utilize.
a wholehearted effort. It'll include everyone, and with school boards doing it, they're the ones that are taking control of it. So they're the ones that will be implementing and doing it with students, parents, teachers, people that don't have students in the school, administrators,
Yeah, it sounds
everyone
like, they
will
even
be.
said like business owners
Yeah.
and, because
everyone
as
will
we
be
know, we're
invited
going to have
it.
to rely on the community. At some point, we have to ask for money. I mean, that's where we're headed.
And the thing of it is that it is going to go, we are going to go forward with this. So if we've approved it tonight, so school boards won't let us not go forward with it. There'll be a full presentation, the whole 9 yards, and that will be adopted then as our strategic plan moving forward. So it's 100% input from everyone that we just mentioned, coming up with a finalized school strategic plan that will then get finally.
And is there a
adopted.
cost to the district for that help of that strategic
Cost.
plan lady? Is there a cost to the district for that or is that?
Yeah, the cost is maximum up to $4,500. Sorry, maximum $4,500. And they're the ones that are implementing. So New Jersey School Board, she's our field rep for Bergen County. She actually is I think she has someone else that works with her that does the actual implementation.
So they're making you spend money, but they keep cutting our money.
Hmm.
But maybe it'll be a positive thing. I don't know. Okay. I was just also wondering if we could talk a little bit about the administration structure. I know we have a superintendent at the high school. There's a principal, a VP/athletic director. I believe there might be another part-time athletic director. Is that correct? Or
There's assistance to the athletic director, especially for our fields, for security. So whether it be down at the rack, whether it be in our buildings, whether it be for scheduling purposes, whether it be for, like Thursday, we have the football for the coordination of the students and everything. It's too much for one person to do alone. And sometimes we have things happening at multiple sites. So we have two roles that support that. You see Charlie down
right?
at the rack. Now we have the other position. So when we have multiple events, we either have two present there to assist Mark, or we have.
So there's one part, Mark is part VP athletic director, and then so we have two additional, and is that part-time? What's their role?
It's, yeah,
Or is it hourly? How does that-
Charlie's.
Charlie's everywhere.
Ms.
Huh? Okay,
Mr. Trentakoski gets paid a stipend each year for his
Right.
role. It's about, I want to say $20,000 for the entire 12 months of activity going down there. And this evening, the board approved another stipend of, I want to say, $37.50
Right?
for the
Right, I
season.
saw- Right.
And essentially, having Mr. Sinclair work as the AD as well as VP, there are some conflicts involved. If something has to be handled after school in the high school, he can't be there to
No, I
start a game of
understand all
match.
that. I was just trying to figure out where we are with how many staff members we have for certain positions. So there's Mark, who can't full-time, but not really, and then two additional staff members that are helping
but
assist him.
part-time.
Okay, and then at the middle school, we have a principal, and then at Doyle, we have a principal, and we have a team leader for the pre-K only program. Right, so are we looking to maybe get Doyle some additional support? Because the high school seems to have a principal, a part-time or more than part-time vice principal, and a lot, like I know Ms. Dudsek is pretty much up at the high school, and Doyle has over 700 students, and Ms. Schmidt is by herself. So I was just wondering what the board's plan is to offer her some support.
It is something that they've expressed interest in having. Tony has brought it to us from a budget standpoint. It's something that we are evaluating to get Lara the additional support that she needs down there. I don't want to go into much further detail because we're discussing it. But it has been raised, it has been requested. Tony's brought it to the board. And now it's time for us to action against some of the things that Tony's recommended.
Okay, but in terms of funding, right, our district, we didn't get any of the additional funding that Mr. Albert was hoping to get. Nobody, it's not just Woodridge. No one got the
Correct.
additional funding.
Yep.
And I'm not saying that we're not the only district in this place. I know how bad things are everywhere. I know that health insurance, I know all the things. But what is our district going to do? Because now we weren't able to bring those paras back. I believe, I tried to figure it out, but I think we brought 2 or 3 of them back. But I believe we let go 11 altogether.
10,
11. So
We,
how are we going to support our teachers?
We brought 3 back in this meeting. 2 of the individuals on the list got jobs someplace else. One of the individuals is now the Doyle School Administrative Assistant. So now that we're getting close to school and a better idea of what money we've spent for supplies, et cetera, we're trying to pull that money together to go out and get asked back some more paras and advertise for more paras now. That was the whole thing at budget time. I couldn't show to the county, we have this many salaries and we're going to pay for it with this. I'd be lying at the time. But now, budgeting be that it is, you get a quote on an object and it comes in less, now you have more money. So Mr. Lisa and I work together now to try to pull some money together to get some more paras back in here.
Do we have a number and a time frame? Because I don't know, I'm speculating that the only paras that we're going to have now are IEP mandated. There's not going to be any extra paras other than IEP mandated paras.
There will be no kindergarten paras.
Okay.
In terms of someone who's not tied to an IEP. Everything else is going to be tied to a class size of a special ed, a one-to-one need, or preschool disabled, ABA, et cetera.
Okay. And then my last question is for the board. I've been coming here for a long time asking when we're going to go to the public to get help. I don't know if it was funding or not, but 6th grade was cut from 5 sections to 4, which I thought we were past that because now we have Doyle, beautiful classroom. When Doyle put on the addition, we all said, the town's going to support the structure, but they're not going to give us the people and the things that we need. I feel that you guys are well aware that there's a need and we've had to make significant cuts for whatever reason they are. So is it a referendum on your mind? I mean, we said we were going to do it a few years ago, then it was kind of put on the back burner. Where are we with that? And this is for Mr. Nave as the board.
So you weren't going to answer. No, she's asking me. Yes, it has come up in our last few meetings. I mean, we've not let go. So the 6th grade, I just want to address that first, was something that we were made fully aware of for what the plan was for that structure, which is not necessarily tied to what you would think is, you said we've gotten beyond that, but that was something that was actually in the plan to do.
To bring them to 4 sections?
Yeah, Tony had addressed this with us, probably, I don't know, at the beginning of the summer. So it's not that we didn't know what was going on there.
No, I know, but I know that. But when we added Doyle, we said we're going to have, and we took 4th grade out.
Mm-hmm.
We said that this is how we're going to have it. 5 sections for 5th grade, 5 sections for 6th grade. They started the building with 5 sections, and now already, not a year later, they're down to 4 sections.
But is that due to class size? I just want to understand.
Just, if I can interrupt, Mr. Nieves?
Yeah,
For
please.
clarity, 6th grade was 4 sections last year as well.
Right, but I'm talking about the incoming, I don't care what it was last year. I'm talking about the incoming 6th grade was 5 sections as 5th graders. Now they're going to 6th grade, incoming 6th graders, the 5th grade class, nothing to do with the kids that are going to 7th grade, and they reduced them to 4 sections.
I guess the question is, was that not by design because of the class size, or was there?
Had the class size been larger, triple digits, the class size would have been too much for 4 classrooms.
Right. So I guess.
There's not been that big of an influx, and the class size is still, Mr. Fallon, I've had this conversation, we've gone at it, still under 25. It's, I think, 22 or 23 kids per class. It's nothing crazy, right? It's okay. But my point being that we strived on smaller class sizes. That was the whole reason we took the 4th grade out, give them more room, and a year later, this is where we are. Now, I do have full confidence in the principal there, our superintendent, that they are made the decision, they know the ins and outs, but I'm just saying to the board, this was not what we said we were doing. This was not the path we were supposed to go in.
But I don't think you said, because we had 5 last year, like, I understand what you're saying, that you're thinking it was 5 and the continuity of it being 5 all the way through. But I don't believe that that was ever the plan, because when we get the year-over-year recommendation for how administration and Tony are working towards the classes and what sections they should be and what number we're trying to stay under, yeah, it changed, but it wasn't due to an issue. It wasn't due to, any other extenuating circumstance that said, oh, we went from 5 to 4. It was the recommendation, and we stayed with still a small classroom size. So we went ahead and said, yes, Tony, and we approved it. I would say if this was something that, before the beginning of the school year, you would have brought to our attention. I mean, I think we would have definitely addressed it and
I was
said,
waiting because we were hoping to get that money. That was kind
I
of one of
get
the
it.
reasons, and it didn't come through. So it's not anything that I didn't bring to the attention. It was brought to the attention of the superintendent, and we were hoping to see how things would play out.
all right, I mean.
I'm just bringing it, I just think.
No,
that
I
it's
get it.
something to mention.
I know you long enough,
So-
Melissa. I know where you're coming. I understand. And to answer your other question.
Right.
Yes. I mean, it's, there's only certain periods throughout the year that you get to either ask the question, do the referendum, et cetera.
Right.
We know that whether it be health insurance and other things, so it is top of mind. We do have frequent discussions in our closed sessions about it, and if there's going to be a right time to, ask that of the public.
Right.
So I think there's one more opportunity this year, which I don't think we're prepared to do, but then there's, throughout the school year going into next year, Rich, quote me if I'm wrong, I think there's 2 opportunities for us, before the school year,
So-
and should we decide that we want to do that. But
Mr. Fallon, what is that time frame? How does that work? What does that look like?
The first referendum possibility would be January, and I believe the second one is in March. And I believe all of our information, if we were to go in January, needs to be to county by November 1st. And if it was March, I believe it's January 1st.
So you go to the county, tell them you want to propose the question to
Yes.
the town, and then you put it to the town. That's how that works.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you, guys.
Ted? Keith, did anybody?
Oh, Mr. Lisa, thank you. You were on my list too, but I forgot. Thanks for all
You'll have
your-
more time with him. Don't worry,
Yeah,
he's not
sorry.
leaving right away.
And one more thing. Thank you for being the principal, but I think you found your role as a business administrator. So we're sad to see you go. I think you did a great job in this role. So good luck wherever you're moving to.
All right. Any other comments, questions, concerns? Motion?
Well, can I just have one other thing? So, Mrs. Cruz, just so you know, that what I'm hoping to see happen is with the strategic plan, that can give us a lot more insight with a referendum, because while we know what we need and want, we need to know what the rest of the town truly wants. And quite honestly, a lot of what I'm sure that the town is going to want is going to be tied to money. And it's money that we do not have. And that's going to be a big part of the referendum if we do go for a referendum as well.
And it would be the same timeline for next school year, right? So if we don't get to it this year, because we're going to try to do the strategic planning, get everything in order, November would be, for the next school year, would be the first time you could have it, right? Thank you.
No.
What was the question?
Yeah, there's a 4th month. It might be September, but I'm not 100% sure on that. I know that there's total of 4 months that can be voted on. But quite honestly, if it was September, we would probably wind up having to wait till November anyway, so.
And the money's good for the following year.
Yes, there's been some back and forth with that. We really need to get more clarification from the state, because everybody says that it's for the next year, but I believe there are ways, which we haven't been able to pinpoint yet, of having emergency referendums, emergency funding that would constitute that year. But the question has to be completely worded differently, and then there's also different timelines for something like that.
Something you wanted to say?
What's that?
Something you wanted to say?
I just wanted to say that I would be recommending to the board that we do this in January. And right now, Mr. Lisa and I are working on some of the paperwork aspect. There's obviously a timeline of getting things to the county for their approval, essentially, so you can hold an election. That has to be, the town has to be spoken to about having that, et cetera. And the purpose of that would be to make sure that we have everything that we need as of right now for next September. I don't see us being in a position where we're going to need a bailout from the state at some point this year. But I definitely see us proactively projecting for next year's budget, so that the advantage is if we have a question in January and it passes, and we know where the total tax levy increase is going to be, now we can budget for that increase and be able to add the things that we feel that we need to have. You can't do it later than that in the school year because you're already putting the next budget in March. So January is the key date for us to have that and get the public to support it, because then we'd be able to do our budget for 27, 28 based upon actually knowing the number.
One more thought, the strategic plan, when will that decision be made and then when would it start? So if, that's a very important one, Mr. Apple just said, right? So if that would
Our
start
strategic
in
plan.
September.
The
So-
decision's been made as of tonight that
Yeah.
we're moving forward with starting it. I believe Melissa had said that she would probably get it started within 30 to 45 days, if I remember correctly. So it's going to start soon.
And then the teachers, how does that fall on the teachers in terms of it would be voluntarily if they wanted to do it because they.
Yeah, we can't require them to do it. We're going to encourage them to do it. I hope that, and I do think that a lot of teachers will come out and talk about what it is that we need as a district and a town.
Right.
Not that somebody needs supplies for their classroom, per se.
No, right.
But,
Bigger
and I'm
picture
hoping
things.
that they do come out and help support us and tell us what it is that we really need. Even if they don't come out, just having, to speak, so to speak, just having them there for support would be greatly appreciated. So I'm hoping that they come out.
All right, thanks.
Looking at you, Ted. You got it.
You're here anyway, they're gonna do the same.
All right. I think there's a number of things for us to discuss, so I'm making a motion to go back in closed with no action to be taken. Mr. Fallon, Mr. Biamonte, all in favor? All opposed? All right, we'll take a 5-minute break and then we'll get back into our discussions.